descending from the tribes of Africa, inspired by the great black leaders.
Vainglorious, this is protected by the red, the black, and the green, with a K zoom.
Dr. Ben, could you enlighten me about the story of Queen of Sheba and Solomon, and the second part is Haile Selassie, the last heir or the last member of Makeda and Solomon's family, or bloodline?
Wow. Well, first of all, let me put it in proper perspective. Makeda was not the queen of Sheba. She was the queen of Axum, or Ethiopia, and the Empress of Sheba. She was queen of Ethiopia and conquered Sheba. Sheba is on the Arabian coast, Ethiopia is on the African coast. When a queen conquer another queen or kings, she become an empress. Now, the question with her and Solomon relates to Songs of Solomon chapter 1, verses 1 to whatever it is, till you get to chapter 2. This myth that when Makeda went up to Solomon, in this communication that went on between them, there came a time when she mated with Solomon. He was wise and she took all the money he had, a little bit of change, because her bodyguard was bigger than his whole army, and he was so wise, and she went to him with a little goat pasture country called Israel, as against this monstrous empire that she had. Having that, went and took his money, came back allegedly pregnant with a son called Abna Hakim, which Westerners call Menelik the First. But the proper name in Ethiopian language is Abna Hakim. When he came at age, he went back to the father. The father supposed to have the gold ring. This is in the Kebra Negast. The Kebra Negast is Ethiopian Chronicles of the King. Supposed to have been kept from the time of Makeda until Haile Selassie. Makonnen. Abna Hakim was sent back to his father when he came 12 years with a ring. The father was supposed to give him some ark, send him back. His mother then abdicated the throne for her son. Ethiopia changed from the indigenous religion and adopted the Hebrew religion. So Ethiopia then became a Hebrew state. Back and forth, the Hebrew rule until all the way down to Chief Radek, one of the Hebrew, what quote-unquote Falasha rulers of Ethiopia. The point is that Makonnen, his father, was the cousin to Emperor Menelik II, Abna Hakim II, famed Menelik of the Battle of Adawa. Selassie was only a third cousin to Menelik, the emperor, had no right to the throne in terms of succession. There were about 8 people before him to take that throne. But Menelik died on his bed, and under Ethiopian law, the emperor could name any member of the royal family. It doesn't have to be his son or anything that. His daughter Zauditu was supposed to be the heir and succession in terms of order. He bypassed her Menelik and named his grandson Zauditu's child. His name Yasu, Lidj, one name Yasu. Selassie and Abuna Yohannes. Abuna is the head of the church, the Coptic church at the time. He and Abuna Yohannes conspired with the French and the British to overthrow Yasu, because Yasu wanted to unify Ethiopia. Ethiopia was fighting the Jews, the Christians, the Muslims, was killing out each other every day. And Yasu wanted to stop that and go back because he wanted to do what his grandfather had done, organized to overthrow the Europeans out of the place, like his father his grandfather tried to do at the Battle of Adawa in 1896. They overthrow Yasu, put him in a dungeon, but he escaped. The British and the French went out to find Yasu. They did, and turned him back to Selassie, who was supposed to be taking care after Selassie and Abuna had poisoned his mother, Zeta. When they got him back in their hand, they put him in a dungeon and put a 24-hour guard on him, and he died there in his feast. Selassie then took over, he and Abuna, Yohannes, and in 1900, that's to 1924, and in 1927, they usurped the throne, naming Selassie as the emperor. It is nothing special about Selassie because she, Makeda, named her son the Lion of Judah. All emperors of Ethiopia from that time carried the name Lion of Judah. It wasn't a big deal. He just carried the name that others were carrying. Now as to legitimacy, he had no legitimacy. He took the throne by killing both Zauditu and her son, the Yasu. As a matter of fact, that's why I am in the West. My father was working for Lidj Yasu in Brazil as the consul general. In 1924, we were sent there. Shortly after we went there is when the first overthrow came. And then if anybody that was called back home working for the Yasu was hanged. My father didn't want to be a dead patriot. And so he went back to Puerto Rico with my mother. That's my mother's country, through Cuba. And then we stood in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands for a number of years before I went back to Ethiopia. In 1959, working for the United Nations, when I went to Ethiopia, he locked me up. The United Nations had to get me out. He locked me up as a dangerous Ethiopian because you can't get rid of your Ethiopian citizenship. Once you're born there, you are for the rest of your life under Ethiopian law. But the United Nations got me out. My father wanted to get back. My father died 102 years old. At 96, he petitioned, 96 and blind. He petitioned Ethiopia for return, and Selassie turned him down. Said he was a dangerous enemy to the state. So, isn't somebody I got anything good to say about?
Descending from the tribes of Africa, inspired by the great black leaders.
Vainglorious. This is protected by the red, the black, and the green with a